If you've been following the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 news on social media over the past couple of weeks, you've probably seen the discourse all over Twitter regarding a potential Saudi Arabian ban, LGBTQ themes, and of course a black character in medieval Bohemia, which has caused an absolute uproar with the anti-woke brigade. Daniel Vávra just the other week, of course, went on a podcast basically talking about how gaming and entertainment media are scared of people like Asmongold and Critical Drinker because of the influence that they have with their audiences. And then, of course, now he's being criticised for, quote-unquote, injecting woke content into the sequel to the much-loved first Kingdom Come Deliverance by giving Henry a potential gay romance option and the aforementioned black character in a Bohemian city, which people are saying don't historically belong. Today we're just going to go over some of the facts, what actually started all of this, and is this game actually woke or is this much ado about nothing? Let's dive into it. Basically, this whole furor started when a Saudi Twitter account posted that Saudi Arabia had actually banned this game for LGBTQI themes, which is of course not allowed in the kingdom due to their strict religious laws. Essentially, a lot of people on Twitter sort of jumped on board and basically said, well, if Saudi Arabia is banning it for LGBT themes, then obviously the game must be woke. Daniel Vávra, of course, came out and had this to say on Facebook. So after the leftists cursing me at Nazis for 10 years, now Nazis cursing me at Jews because Saudi Arabia might want to ban KCD because of the homosexual scene, which of course confirm that there is indeed a gay romance in the game. He further went on to say, the game is exactly what I wanted it to be. No one has tried to influence me as an artist in any way, and anyone who knows me knows I wouldn't let them anyway. Every character in the game has a very clear reason to be where they are, which you'll understand when you play the game. Our goal was, and still is, to show life in medieval Bohemia as it easily could have happened and to tell an interesting story. He then goes on to say, at the same time, it is a role-playing game, so it is purely up to the player what decisions they make, and for all the decisions they make. They are responsible for the consequences that correspond to the morals and social norms of the time. That is a pretty important line to mention, and I'll touch on this a bit further on. I don't want to spoil the plot, obviously, the important events and roles of some of the characters for anyone, but you'll have to see for yourself by playing the game, and then I strongly believe you'll agree with me. Now, I think this is a pretty reasonable stance to take, really. So a lot of people sort of attacked him for just the other month talking about how it's a good thing that DEI is basically on the out. They don't have any DEI initiatives at Warhorse Studios. And basically a lot of the anti-woke brigade has sort of jumped on board Daniel's comments and basically used him as their hero game dev, for want of a better term. And they've all latched onto it and started pre-ordering this game and started championing the cause, which, you know, good publicity for them. And then, of course, this Saudi ban has basically come out, and then they've all basically gone all to 180, so they're cancelling pre-orders. The game's gone woke. This is crazy. And there will be a few other comments that they sort of have drudged up over the years, where I think about 8 years ago on the YouTube channel for Kingdom Come, one of the comments there from the studio was that there was no gay romance options for Henry in the original game, and that he's straight. Look, I get that people will latch onto that and go, but you said he's canonically straight, he's not bisexual, there should be no gay romance scenes available. Guys, things change in 8 years. They do. Especially creative vision of games, and we've all seen that. Now, for better or for worse, we'll see how it works out. But think of your own life and where you were a decade ago. Would you still make the same decisions, go the same direction and all that sort of stuff with what you know now as opposed to what you know then? Or are you going to change over time? I think the answer is pretty obvious. People change, and especially in the gaming industry, their creative vision will eventually change over time as well. I think it's fully reasonable to say that if they want to put in a very minute side quest and a romance option for a character in the game that's not part of any main quest line that you specifically have to go looking for, I think that's fair enough. He clarified the claims on the 20th. The initial claim, just to clarify, was there's a homosexual scene, it's 30 seconds long, you can't skip it, it's quite graphic. This is a lie. According to Daniel Vávra, he said there's no unskippable cutscenes in our games. Anybody who claims otherwise has never played them. We are not, nor ever were, banned in any country, at least that we know of. As much as I don't like forced diversity, nobody was forcing us to do anything, and we are not forcing anyone to do certain things. Gay characters were already in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. Kingdom Come Deliverance is an RPG. You are responsible for your decisions. If you want Henry to try a same-sex adventure, feel free. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I think this is the key important part here, and people are losing their minds over, thinking that it's forced on top of them. But from our understanding so far, it is a side character, and you can just skip it altogether if you want to. All affairs, and we're in KCD1, are purely optional. The characters are perfectly aware that it was a forbidden sin. So if you do engage in a same-sex relationship, characters apparently, from reading other articles, can be punished for it because it's a sin against the church. So I think that is historically accurate. I don't have an issue with this. The game takes place in one of the richest cities in Europe, which was besieged by a massive foreign army. That's the reason why the life in such a city is more diverse than the life in villages, which were featured in the first game. This is in regards to Musa, the African character. Musa came to Bohemia with an invading army as a member of the royal court of King Sigismund, whom he met thanks to his engagement at the court of Sultan Bayezid. He's an educated noble and Renaissance man from the Kingdom of Mali. At the same time, Musa is a very unusual figure for the local Bohemian folk, and many of the situations around him in the game stem from this. So his presence makes sense and creates a lot of interesting situations in the game. The way he talks and behaves has a reason. Everything displayed corresponds to the morals and societal norms of 1403 Bohemia, and is only there to make an interesting story and not at all to appeal to a modern audience. We don't want KCD to be used as clickbait by people who didn't even play it yet. Some of them sadly turned into exactly the same narrative they pretend to be fighting against. The amount of hateful behaviour is really sad, and it will damage any cause associated with it. Now, there's been a lot of sort of posts going around at this time. Many appear to have been removed or edited, which we sort of saw a bit over a week ago when this was happening. A lot of hateful comments, and there's still a lot of hateful comments going around. And I just want to make an interesting point here that I think is relevant. There's a lot of discourse from the anti-woke brigade how much they hate being called ists and phobes, okay? And look, I'm with you. I don't like woke stuff being in games, political agendas, like modern day political politics agendas, I don't believe have any place in these things, and they need to go in the bin. And it's good that there's been a cultural shift in that regard from developers, because it's not something we want to see. Dragon Age: The Veilguard is probably the most recent example of this. It's been a major failure, obviously. Studios are shutting down. People are losing their jobs. Okay, go work, go broke, typical, all that sort of stuff. But having a gay person in a game, especially as an optional side quest that you completely ignore, and a black character that could have historically been in one of the biggest cities in the Holy Roman Empire during that time period, this is not woke, okay? If you want to champion the anti-woke cause, I'll join you. But you need to understand what is woke and what isn't. Because people will complain about Dragon Age: The Veilguard, yet champion Dragon Age Origins. But you could have same-sex romances in that game. Same with Mass Effect. Baldur's Gate 3 gets heaps of plaudits, even though it's got very progressive themes. Because the reason people don't mind that kind of stuff in those games is because it's player-driven. The agency to make those choices is left on the player. Okay, if Musa was the king of the Holy Roman Empire and Henry was black and gay, yes, this game would absolutely be 100% woke, and it would absolutely be on the non-binary list. But having a same-sex option in a game that's not forced on you in any particular way whatsoever, and a character that believably could be in a major city in the Holy Roman Empire, these things are not woke. These things are not worth getting upset over. They're not part of the main quest line as far as we understand it. This should have no impact on whether you think this game is great or not. Now, a lot of people were talking about cancelling their pre-orders and all that sort of stuff. I have an opinion on that as well. I don't think you should pre-order any digital game. The pre-orders are still around. It's in the top 20 again at the moment, so it's still going strong. There was, I think, 9 games going on sale and some new releases that pushed it a little bit lower, but it's climbed back up. But guys, cancel your pre-orders all you want. In my opinion, you shouldn't be pre-ordering any game until reviews come out by someone that you trust, that has similar taste to you, and you agree basically with their opinion and their outlook on the gaming industry. I don't think I've ever pre-ordered anything in my life, and I never will. So just to touch on this a bit further, this was all cleared up by basically Grums on Twitter, and Demion sort of got involved as well. Grums goes on to say on the 20th of January, no, Kingdom Come Deliverance is not woke. I've received exclusive information from someone who has completed the game, which clears up many rumours. So yes, Henry can romance other characters in the game. You can romance another male, however, it's not forced on the player in any way whatsoever. And it lasts for about 5 seconds. Okay, it's literally nothing, and it's player driven. It's your choice if you want to go down that road. If you don't, avoid it altogether. Okay, it's not that hard. And of course, Musa is very well thought out from a writing perspective. He's under command of an enemy commander, and whilst said commander is kind to him, everyone around him treats him like shit. More interestingly, after all this was clarified, the respective communities for Grums and Endymion just went nuts. Okay, so these are two of the most famously anti-woke people on Twitter and YouTube, and of course their own communities suddenly lost their collective minds over it, saying that yes, it is woke. I'm following you, you've turned, now you're part of the woke brigade. God, it was actually insane. Like, there's massive overreaction to something so minuscule in a game that appears historically authentic as possible is crazy. I can understand the reaction to all the bullshit that was in Dragon Age the Veilguard, especially with Tasha's non-binary crap and pulling above. Go to town. That is ridiculous. That kind of stuff doesn't belong in any form of entertainment media, in my opinion, especially not a mainstream franchise. If you want to write an independent story like Dustborn and have nobody buy it other than to laugh at it, be my guest. That's fine. It's funny. It's amusing to see it fail, especially when you understand why, because gamers aren't into that kind of thing. But if you're going to ruin a mainstream franchise, that's really sad. But there is a world of difference between giving characters constant options to become trans, giving them top scar surgery and character selections, multiple talking about how characters buy in cutscenes and all that sort of stuff, than to have a same-sex romance option that you can completely avoid. And it did happen in those days, by the way, because I've seen people on Twitter denying that people were even gay in those times, which means they don't understand any history whatsoever, which is scary. Or also believing that a black person from Africa wouldn't be in part of a major invading army when a lot of the said soldiers are mercenaries sourced from all over the Mediterranean. Okay, so these things are entirely believable, and they would have happened during this time frame. Okay, I get it. Making a village chief black, woke. Okay, having a guy as part of an invading army who happens to be black, this isn't woke. Okay, so we just need to get that out of the way so that we understand. So I just want to conclude on this that basically I get that everybody's concerned about woke content being injected into all the games they love, and look, it is important to be vigilant. I understand that, I agree with you. But some of the stuff going on in social media these days is Gestapo level shit. Literally, are you hiding Jews under the floorboards kind of stuff, looking for anything that they could possibly perceive as woke or DEI. Now, I understand that obviously being too progressive has made people wary, but please, calm your tits a bit. You don't have to go so crazy, and just chill the fuck out. Yes, speak up when stuff like Dragon Age the Veilguard ruins one of the much-loved franchises, but if a developer wants to have a little bit of freedom of expression and give the player agency in making their own decisions, can't understand how this can be perceived as being woke. Now, if they want to put rules into their game that you can't be gay or whatever that sort of stuff in the game as well, that's fine too, because it's up to the developer what they want to do. But if you're forcing modern day politics into every form of dialogue, then yes, I will stand with you. But if you're just giving a little bit of a side option and for players that want to explore a different story that would have been a part of history back then, especially if the player character knows that it's a sin, wouldn't that be an interesting option too, and see how that plays out? Lastly, again, if you are sick and tired of people, all those DEI hires in the gaming industry calling you islamphobes, well, help yourself by not actually being one. Because if you're going to whinge about one black character in a huge medieval city from an empire where it would have existed, or one gay romance option that you can completely avoid and then lose your collective minds over it, then maybe you are the very thing you hate being accused of. Food for thought. On that note, if you like the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.